audio starts getting choppy, if you hover down at the bottom where you kill your camera or your mic, there's a little gear. That's settings. You can click on settings, then you can click on video, and you can switch to a low bandwidth. If that becomes an issue, otherwise you can jump in. There's a training this afternoon, and I'm also recording this, so at a later date I'll be able to post it up, so you won't miss anything. Looking through the list, I mean there's a lot of people here today. Thanks for joining me. Hopefully we can get some new shared understanding about SMP. Hopefully nobody forced you to come. I wanted this to be completely voluntary. So I'm glad you can make it. For those that you don't know, I'm Sergeant First Class Stoa. I am one of the Reserve Ops NCOs for the Oklahoma City Recruiting Battalion. I have my partner, Master Sergeant Beck, over there in the group chat. So if you guys have questions along the way, he'll be answering them for me. This is SMP is one of the best things in our toolkit. It's also one of the most understood things in our toolkit. So hopefully we clear some things up today. There's going to be a lot of information coming at you, but hopefully it kind of clears the water up and makes you more effective out there recruiting. All right, so our references for SMP, obviously the main one, AR 61210, Chapter 9, 9-14. Any of you that have ever went to that paragraph for SMP, it's a long one. It's like 6, 7, 8 pages. It's a long, and there's a lot of things that kind of seem to contradict themselves through it. But that's the main piece that we use as a reference. Obviously, UR 601-210, Appendix J. That's going to have all your Army Reserve special program stuff. Some of you probably seen the flow chart there. And then AR 145-1, that is the ROTC regulation. A lot of stuff about SMP, and then just general ROTC information in that regulation about who can have GI Bill, who can use TA, all that stuff. So it's a good one to look at as well. Alright, so what is SMP? For those of you that might not know, some of you might be new, some of you might not even really dug into this. Simultaneous membership program. It is somebody who is, while attending ROTC, is also a part of the Army Reserve. They're doing it at the same time. That's an SMP, simultaneous membership program. Simultaneously being a member of both pieces. It's a pathway to officership. Just like OCS, just like West Point, it is a pathway for you to become a commissioned officer in the Army Reserve. The Army Reserve is those performing the critical jobs, as you see there, and commissioned officers are the managers. So that's kind of the breakdown of how that all comes together for SMP. Somebody's got their mic on. It's giving me a little bit of feedback. Can you please go ahead and cut your camera or cut your mic off? Thank you. All right, some of the myths with SMP. All right, for the recruiter standpoint, you have to have a college with ROTC in your footprint to do anything with ROTC or with SMP. Sorry, that's an incorrect statement. You don't have to have a college within your footprint to do anything with SMP. You can be out in the middle of nowhere. All you need is an applicant who's accepted to college. Sergeant Tolley, can you kill your camera and mic, please? Thank you. So yeah, you don't have to. It has nothing to do with having a college within your footprint dealing with SMP. We'll get into that more later, but just generally the first myth. Right off the bat, when I'm talking to recruiters, hey, what's up with SMP? And they're like, Sergeant, I don't have a college in my area. You don't have to have a college in your footprint to work SMP applicants. means, right? Myth number 2, SMP is only for those currently in ROTC. No, there's two types of SMP candidate. You have a potential participant, and then you have your contracted participant, right? A potential participant might not even know what an ROTC is. They don't have to be in ROTC at all or have any affiliation with ROTC prior to you meeting them to go SMP, okay? Myth number 3, SMP requires a 110 GT score. No, sure doesn't. I know some of you are probably like, what? All officers require that. No, that's not true. You don't need a 110 GT score to go SMP. What do you need is there's a certain ACT or SAT score that you need to be able to get into the college. If you're accepted into the college, you can do SMP. We'll cover that. That's a little bit later. But no, it doesn't require a 110 GT score to go SMP. Myth number 4, you have to be an MS2 to do SMP. Yeah, so there's a lot of muddy language in that regulation, kind of talks about some MS2 stuff, you know, and you might be kind of confused, like when can I start the process? It's not true. You don't have to be an MS2 to do an SMP. You can have no college education and do SMP, and we'll go over that later. So just understand that, get rid of that myth. Here's a big one, and that for some of you guys, this might not be a myth. SMP is too hard, so just join normally. I've asked some people throughout the formation, you know, hey, talk to me about SMP. How do you sell it? You know, just trying to either get ideas from myself or get a pulse of what the formation knows. And almost 9 times out of 10, they're like, sorry, here's how I do it. You know, like I have them pick MOS. You know, just have them join standard training or juniors in alternate training. And then, you know, we talk about doing SMP, you know, when they come back and enroll in college. This is kind of what Master Sergeant Mills would call the okie doke, all right? It just, when you start looking at the regulation, we just don't understand how it works to be able to write somebody as that 09 Romeo. So we just say, you know, yeah, SMP is a thing that you do later with ROTC. And that's, yes, you can do it that way. The 145-1 talks about doing it that way. It's not the wrong way, but you're not necessarily, in some cases, listening to what your applicant wants, and you're going to lose people by not showing them like all their pathways. Okay. SMP is only for someone who wants the reserve. Partially true. Partially true. What we'll find out later is that somebody who joins SMP as an 09 Romeo, who does not accept any sort of scholarship money, can compete for active duty upon graduation. So that young man that comes up to your table at school visit says, I want to go to ROTC, my end state goal is to be an infantry officer with the 82nd Airborne. He's not throwing you up any objections. We can talk about SMP the right way and get him where he wants to go without jumping through any weird hoops, you know, 368s or any of that craziness. Okay, there is a possibility, and we'll get later on in the class, we'll get to that and show you how that's done. Okay, you know, similar to the myth above, SMP requires too much paperwork. I know you guys have looked at some of these flow charts, and you start seeing like all this crazy cadet command forms. We got to have all this stuff, and it's just like man, just join the army. Let me do my 2807, my 680, and put you in boots by Friday. Look, when it starts talking about all those crazy forms, those people are coming to you already ready to go with a packet from the ROO, from the scholarship officer at the college, saying put me in the reserve. It's not too much. There's a stack that you got to scan in, but it's not like you're creating any of these forms. The ROTC knows what to do, and they're going to give you that packet. Last one, the recruiter or ROTC doesn't get credit. This is what you're going to run into when you're talking to ROTC. That if you do some sort of SMP contract, maybe the scholarship officer doesn't get credit for putting them in, or they say, you know, they might have you convinced that you don't get credit. Bottom line, you both get credit. It's not a 2-for-1 for the recruiter, but both of you get, there's each party involved there gets credit if they do their part. So hopefully, I don't know if there's any other myths out there, But those are the ones that I've thought of, the things I've heard over the year. Hopefully that answers a lot of those questions. All right. So, do you make the cut to go SMP? Okay. First off, you got to be a citizen or naturalized. Okay. No I-511 cards here. In order to be an officer in the United States Army, you must be a citizen or naturalized. This is SMP is a pathway to officership, just like OCS. So, in that case, it's the same requirement. Got to be between the ages of 17 and 29. All right, it's 29 is that cutoff for ROTC. There are waivers and things like that, but I don't know when the last time you guys ran into a 35-year-old that said they wanted to do ROTC. It's probably not all that common. So we can focus on who it actually is at 17, 29-year-old. All right, next one. Must have a 19 on the ACT or 1,000 on the SAT. This can be substituted for a GT score of 110 with brigade commander approval. This is like the only thing that the brigade commander actually signs off on a waiver in like the whole regulation. This is their claim to fame. This one right here, but it's not required. You just have to have an ASVAB score on file to process, and that's a MEPS requirement. You can't go over to physical if you don't have an ASVAB on file. So, real talk here, you can have someone score a 31 on the ASVAB with a 20 ACT, accepted to Michigan State University, get everything done to get them in ROTC, and write them as a GA all day. It can be done. It's too easy. Nobody cares about the ASVAB score after you ship. No one. They don't care. It's not required. PMS certification. Okay, you got to have that. That means you're going to sit down, have that meeting with the professor of military science. That's what PMS stands for, in case you guys are wondering. That's going to be a lieutenant colonel in most cases. Some smaller programs, it could be a major. You're going to have that talk, that need talk, and they're going to eye your applicant up. Here's the thing, though, okay? I ain't promising anybody's getting a letter, but ROTC is struggling across the board. They have a hard time keeping people. So if you bring somebody that meets Apple's MDT qualified and wants to join their program, most likely they're going to be okay with it. Okay, so that's where having some of that, having that relationship with the PMS, that takes time to develop. But once you have that, it's going to pay dividends. All right, the DA form 4824. All right, that you got to have that. Got to have that filled out. That's pretty easy. And we'll get into what needs to be filled out on that. Looks kind of scary, but it's really not once you know what you got to check and all that stuff. All right, have the ability to enter IADT within 270 days. Basic combat training only for an 09 Romeo. They only go to basic training, no AIT, because their AIT is ROTC. It's their pathway to officership. Okay, they got to be able to ship within 270 days. That's the deal. Okay, you got to be able to go. So you got to kind of plan that out, figure that out, be able to put them in. Okay, have the potential to enroll in ROTC MS2, MS3, or MS4 within 1 year. And they have to pass an entrance physical. All right, got to be able to do that. So that whole have the potential to enroll, that's kind of some weird language. That's something that we haven't really heard. We're usually talking about people, contracts and all that other stuff when it comes to SMP. All right, so hopefully the regulation has popped up on your desktop. I love the reg. We got to go there. Once we understand it, it makes a lot of sense. 9-14, first paragraph. This program is available for qualified non-prior service and prior service applicants qualified for enlistment in the United States Army Reserve who can meet the criteria for enrollment in ROTC military science curriculum, MS2, 3, or 4. Huh. That's kind of weird how it says that. Words matter. All right, we'll get into that more a little bit later. All right, so the big question, one of the big selling points, why we talk about SMP. Are they going to deploy? No. Right there in AR 601-210, 9-14, I-7. All right, ROTC is your training path. It's your AIT. for 4 years of college, okay? So you can't deploy because you don't have an MOS or an area of concentration. You're still on the training path. Another section in AR 61210, you'll find, if you got to get deep into it, that you have to have at least 13 weeks of active duty for training in order to deploy. Since 09 Romeos are only going to basic training, they don't have enough time, can't deploy. So that's how it all kind of comes together. Right. So what's the process to put somebody in ROTC SMP? So since creation of UR 601-210, we've had this handy dandy flow chart. For some people it makes sense. For some people they just say it makes sense, and for some people it just made things worse. It seems easy enough. Yeah, I can read the steps, but what does it really mean? What does all this mean? Okay, so here's first and foremost, there's two types of SMP. You have your potential participant, and then you have your contracted participant, okay? So what is a potential participant? In all honesty, potential participant is just an applicant. It's just somebody on your APL. You forget that potential participant thing. We can start that first box with prospect or applicant, because that is all they are. That's it. That's it. There's not a whole lot different here from a regular contract. You're going to have to, it requires like 1 or 2 extra forms than what you would, normally do, 90% of the time with an Army Reserve enlistment. But it's really this easy. So, okay, so let's take away the word potential participant. Let's just say applicant, okay? So move to step 1. You're going to do your normal conduct. You're going to do Apple's MDT. Right, you're going to make sure they're administratively, medically, and morally qualified. Okay, so all right, you do that with everyone. Thumbs up, move on to the next one. Now we're going to get source documents. Source documents in accordance with AR 601-210. So, yep, chapter 2. We're going to gather, the birth certificate. We're going to get college letter, high school letter, whatever the case may be. Diploma. We're going to gather all that piece of information. One of the pieces of source documents that we need here, the extra piece for SMP, is if we need something saying that they're enrolled in a college that is tied to an ROTC program or some sort of affiliation with an ROTC program. If they're a high school senior, you just need that acceptance letter for that university that has an ROTC or some sort of affiliation. So if you have a high school senior right now that has an acceptance letter to Oklahoma University, if they have that in their hand, they're eligible. Put that in the record. Okay, so now we move on. So we got all our source documents, they're in the record, 680-2007, it's all filled out. So now request PMS certification, okay, of the applicant's ability to be contracted within 1 year. Well, that's some weird language, right? Because we just looked at the reg and it talked about enrollment. What's going on here? Okay, so this is the PMS certification. This is where we're going to go sit knee to knee with the ROTC. Okay, we're going to have that conversation with the professor of military science. Okay, rule number 1 right here: you go with your applicant. You don't send them there by themselves. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but you go with them. All right, the certification of the applicant's ability to be contracted within 1 year. That is from the time of enrollment to ROTC. So if you're a senior in high school right now, with the acceptance letter to the Oklahoma University, is going to start school, let's just say for instance, 1 September, they have to be, what the PMS is certifying is that this person has the ability to be contracted within 1 year of enrollment to ROTC. They can't say that if you're going to put that person in the Army tomorrow, that they have the ability to contract within 1 year of tomorrow. That's not feasible, right? Because contracting generally starts during MS2, right? Generally happens towards the end of MS2, usually about this time of year. So the fair thing is, when we're talking about that, is that's what make sure the PMS understands. It's not 1 year from the day they enlist as an 09 Romeo. It's 1 year from the date they enroll into ROTC. Do they have the ability? The PMS can use soft language here, okay? Doesn't have to say will or anything like that. Has the potential, can, has the ability, things like that. Soft language doesn't have to lock in and confirm right now and there that 1 year after enrollment into ROTC, this person is contracted. They don't have to make that statement. Based on the interview, do they think they have the ability 1 year after they enroll in ROTC? Yes or no? Get it on a memorandum, upload it into the record, and let's move on to the next piece. All right, so on to the next step. Execute a DEA Form 4824. Now it says ROTC, PMS, or recruiter. Guess what, recruiter? You're doing it. You're not going to ask the lieutenant colonel to fill out a form that you have the ability to do. Just don't do it. And you want to get out of their hair anyway. Just fill out the form. It's real easy. I show you the form later in the class. Show you what to fill out. Super easy. Okay. Don't get intimidated by that form. It's not hard. Okay. Request TPU letter of acceptance for 09 Romeo with the UIC. So that's just calling your local TPU. Hey, I need a letter. What's that letter need to say? I'll show you later, but it's real simple. Every 09 Romeo has the same paragraph, position, and line number across the board. They all have the same one. So what I'll show you later on here, it works for every single one. Okay? All right. So now complete the packet, capture and upload the source documents into ERM. Good. I mean, we all know how to do that. We do that with every packet. We're going to send the vacancy load up to the USAR Ops NCO. So someone like myself, Master Sergeant Beck, I saw Master Sergeant Hafner in there. Going to send it up to them. If they're going to process it in accordance with the USARC message, super easy. Sergeant Farrow over there at Fort Bragg in the head shed, he's going to hit his button. Boom, done. Okay. So now it's loaded. Now there's a position built for your person. Okay. Fingerprints. Yeah, we probably should have done those earlier, but whatever. You're still doing it regardless of where. That's a normal packet. Project for ASVAB. That's a normal packet too. Is it a different physical? Nope. This is an enlisted physical. It doesn't have to be a commissioned physical. Okay. All right. So transform the maps. Processing done. The potential participants will execute a DD Form 4 upon swear-in, and then take them back, transport them back to the unit, get them in process with the unit. Pretty straightforward. It's just about clarifying some of these steps. It's not as difficult. Don't be intimidated by what you're looking at. Not very difficult. All right. So this is available to high school seniors with an acceptance letter from a university with an ROTC. They only need the potential to contract with ROTC. Okay, that's it. Potential. Soft language here. You can write a high school senior as an 09 Romeo. Okay? All right. So this next slide, this is your contracted participants with ROTC. Okay, this is somebody who already has done a DD Form 4 executed that enlistment contract with ROTC. They're already in. They've already sworn their oath. How do these people come to you? Generally, they've accepted some sort of scholarship and they have to be in the Army Reserve by 10 days after accepting, whatever scholarship. So these are the ones going to bring you a packet and they're going to say, hey, Sergeant, I need to join the reserve. Here's everything. Okay. So you're seeing a lot of craziness as far as different forms and things, but I mean, similar process. All right. So ROTC guy just walked into your office and said, I need to be in the reserve by Friday. So, still got to conduct the administrative, moral, all the Apples MDT stuff, because guess what? ROTC is not very good at that. You're going to find out that some of these people aren't qualified, even though they're an MS4 at the University of Minnesota. They've done all that time and they're not actually qualified for enlistment. So it happens all the time. So make sure you do your screening, all right? Gather the source documents just like you would. Chapter 2, You're going to request the cadets DD Form 4, 4824, and all of their documents. Generally, that's going to come in a packet already ready to go from ROTC. The scholarship officer knows what needs to happen because the scholarship officer doesn't get their credit until this person's in the reserve. So they're going to put it all together for you. If they don't, they're probably new. But you can, having that relationship with them, you'll be able to work that out. Okay? Find them a position, right? Get the letter of acceptance for 09 Romeo. Make that, get that uploaded. And you see the PMS will need a copy for the transfer order. So make sure you get them a copy of that. Okay, so you're going to request the transfer order from the control group to TPU. Again, this should all, once you found them a position, that should all work smoothly. They know the pieces that need to get done. Complete the packet, just like you would. You got to find all the special spots for all the ROTC docs. Some of them don't have locations in ERM, so you might have to call the guidance counselor and ask them where they want them. But it's pretty straightforward. Just got to get all that stuff in there. Send up the vacancy load. Fingerprints, obviously, probably should have done those earlier. The fingerprint thing, I don't know why it's so far back in this process, but you guys know when to do fingerprints. Project for ASVAB. Again, they got to have an ASVAB on record. They can have 31 QT, still going to be GA contract at the end of the day. These people do not go to basic training, okay? Your contracted participants do not go to basic training, right? Take them to MEPS, have them do their processing. They do not swear in. They already have a DD Form 4. Okay, during this process, the only thing you're doing is aligning them with a reserve unit. That's it. That's what you're doing. They're going to walk out with that, with basically their annex and all that stuff that they take back to the scholarship officer. They'll complete everything that needs to be done. You got a GA contract credit, and we're moving on. Okay, so this slide is for those who are already contracted with ROTC and they have to join the reserve. Okay, this is your free chicken. But I'll be honest with you, we don't get a lot of these, and we'll get into why that is later on. Right. Hey, here's your DA Form 4824. Okay, so for your potential participants, all you're going to do is you're going to mark right there, option 2, check that block. All that's saying is I have nothing to do with ROTC. I've never been contracted, I have no affiliation. Check that block. Then down here at the bottom on the page 2, they're going to initial each piece. That's it. Sign the bottom. Applicant signs, recruiter signs, that form's good to go. Upload it. Very, very simple. Right, your PMS certification letter. Right here. This is one that my battalion did this year. This kid is a senior in high school. So showing you that this can be done. Okay? That's all it is. That they'll take him into ROTC, contingent on his acceptance to the University of Oklahoma. He already had his letter prior to this. He had an early admittance or early acceptance letter. He was accepted back in September of last year. And he said, so he put will contract. It doesn't have to say that. He doesn't have to say it has. He could put Cadet Cantu has the potential to contract within 1 year. Still meets the intent of the regulation, and this is good to go. So, during this process, if you run into any sort of issue, just make sure that you're explaining it, because some of these PMS, some of these professors of military science out there, just like your battalion commander, they're thrown into this, for 2 years off the line unit. They're not used to this process. They don't necessarily know all the things there. So make sure you explain to them, that what they're saying is that this person has the potential to contract within 1 year of enrollment to ROTC. Okay? Not enlistment to the Army Reserve, but enrollment to ROTC. That's what it needs to say, and then that's a good letter. Right, TPU LOA, right here. Same position, paragraph, and line number for every single unit. Position is 9991, the paragraph 101, and line is 01. All right, so what this does is it puts them on the excess part of the UMR. For those of you that have RCMS and have looked at somebody's UMR, down there at the bottom, you'll see like the 9991. That's for SMP. 9992 that's like incoming, outgoing personnel. Like 9993 is like where they hide the excess officers and all that stuff. So those of you that have been in RCMS and been down there, that's where they go. This person does not count against their UMR. They don't count this person on the USR on the first of the month. None of that happens. So sometimes you guys are going to call units and say, hey, I need a LOA for an SMP slot, and they're going to tell you, well, we don't have any 09 Romeo positions. That's just because they don't understand. And you might have to walk them through it and make sure that they understand. Take them to the regulation, show them that this person goes on the excess portion. What you do need for this to work out is, there generally should be an officer within the company, or at least at the battalion level. The only way they wouldn't have room is if they have 3 09 Romeo cadets drilling per officer within their unit. Okay, that's the limit. You can't have more than 3 cadets per officer within a unit. Now, any of you that have been to a battle assembly within the last year, you're lucky if you saw a cadet walking around. They have the room. Just make sure, be tactful when you talk about it. Should be no issues getting those letters. All right, benefits to this. This is always one that people come at me with. Like, so what's the benefit of doing this? Or it's a lot. I don't believe somebody should be able to do this. They need to go to basic and AIT. That's my belief, and that's what I'm going to sell. Well, Bucko, nobody really cares what you think. That's the bottom line. This is a great program. This is available for everyone. And here's take some of your personal bias out and expand your market. If you were in my class last week, you saw the Army Reserve market, all that extra blue. 09 Romeo is extra blue. That's what it is. It's expanding your market. Okay. So what does an 09 Romeo get? Okay. So we talked. They don't go to AIT, and if you don't go to AIT, that means you don't qualify for federal tuition assistance, an OTA. If you don't go to AIT, you don't get the Select Reserve GI Bill, so no GI Bill. If you don't get the GI Bill, it means you can't get the kicker, right? So what's the point? Here's the point, all right? So everyone who's an SMP cadet receives the $420 a month stipend. They receive a $1,000 book allowance. That's pretty good. Along with that $420 stipend, once they're enrolled in ROTC, that's when they start getting paid as an E5. So E5 battle assembly check, that's right around $300 a month. So essentially $720 a month to be an intern in one of the greatest leadership organizations in the world. Okay, doesn't sound so bad so far. All right, an 09 Romeo can compete for local and national scholarships. They can compete for the Minuteman Scholarship. They can compete for the Dedicated Reserve Scholarship. They can compete for the Guaranteed Reserve Forces Duty Scholarship. They can even compete for one of the active duty scholarships. However, they will have to be released from the Army Reserve in order to accept one of those. So there are a few different ways there. There are extra scholarships showing that they've already made the commitment to be a member of the armed forces prior to submission for scholarship, makes them a better candidate for acceptance of those scholarships. Knowing that they're already physically qualified and enlisted into an officership program shows them that they're not wasting that. Shows them that they're not wasting that money. And if they've already went to basic training as an 09 Romeo, it shows them that they meet the physical qualifications. But here's the big one, right? Bottom left. Time in service starts the day you enlist as an 09 Romeo. You'll be paid more than your peers when you graduate. So what's that mean? If you want to go look right now, go pull up active duty. Let's just say they want to go active duty afterwards, because those are the ones you're going to have to convince, right? Go look up an 01, no time in service pay, and then go look up an 01 with 4 years time in service pay. What you'll see is that they make $1,100 more a month at 4 years than they do with no years. That's pretty significant. And as they move up the ranks, you make first lieutenant. Now it starts separating even more, all the way up into those captain years. It's a difference of like $2,500 a month. Because they have that much more time in service than their counterparts that just waited to commission and actually join upon their commissioning date. So that's the big part. That time in service, retirement. It's all constructive credit towards their retirement. If it's a reserve retirement, they're already 4 years ahead. If it's an active duty retirement, some of that time counts, get calculated on the 1506, but the time counts. Yeah. So the OE. Yeah. No. Tom Bonds. Yeah. You caught that. You don't qualify for OE. That would be very much a significant difference. You'd be talking like $4,000 a month difference if it was OE. It's not OE. Just looking at longevity, time in service. That's what you're looking at. $1,100 a month different. 01, no time in grade. 01, 4 years of service. So big one. Compete for a commission in any component of the Army, active, reserve, or guard. If you're a non-scholarship, if you don't take any money from any sort of scholarship money. Now there might be some sort of like local scholarship, like the college might give like ROTC members $1,000 or $2,000. That's separate. If you don't sign anything from Cadet Command for a scholarship, you are able to compete for an active, reserve, or guard scholarship. You can put them in the reserve for the 4 years as an SMP. They do all their ROTC and compete for an active duty contract or an active duty commission. They can switch and go guard if they want to, or they can stay in the reserves. Their choice of what they want to do. So that's what really opens things up. You're not locking them into the reserve forever, enlisting them as an 09 Romeo, as long as they don't take a contract. If you write them as a Minuteman scholarship, that's a different story. We'll get into that in some of the later slides. But if they're just straight up, I just want to be a part of ROTC and do as much Army as possible, here's the way to go. All right, all fine and good, but if I don't know how to find these people, it does not matter. So how do we prospect for them? First and foremost, do not attack the ROTC. You will burn this relationship. Do not walk into that ROTC and first thing out of your mouth say, I'm here for the SMP contracts. They will boot you out, and they should. They absolutely should. You have like 16 cadets there, and some of them are already contracted one way or the other. It's not a huge pool. Don't worry about those 16. That is not the way to prospect for it. Here's the deal. Here's the thing I didn't understand. The last station that I ran, I went in, created a great relationship, not with the ROTC cadre, but with the students. And I wrote half of the freshman class. We put them all in reserve, and we didn't do it the right way. We didn't put them in as 09 Romeos. We put them in basic training AIT, and that colonel was mad at me, and I didn't understand why right away. It was like, hey, I just gave you, I'm going to send these guys to training. They'll be passing PT tests and all that stuff. Like, what's the problem? The problem is that that PMS is on a contract mission just like you. He or she has to put so many in active duty each year, so many in the reserve, and so many in the guard. has to do it every year. And some, with ROTC numbers being as low as they are, they're barely scraping enough by to get enough people to get everybody, like if they got a mission of, they have to commission 10, like they got 10 or 11. They're just barely making it along to meet those numbers. And they have to commission them by a certain year. So that freshman class, 4 years from now, that's what they're expecting, right? Is that they're going to have so many active duty, so many reserve, so many guard. When you go in there as Mr. Recruiter guy and just write half the population and send them to basic training and AIT, you just screwed up, because now they're, at some point, they're going to have to miss a semester. You're not going to get it all in unless you just have the perfect timing with a 12 Bravo or something in the summer. And those things don't happen, right? So they're going to have to miss a semester. Now you just push graduation back a semester, okay? So now they're in the next year's graduation pool, and that affects that PMS directly, and then you're like, well, why should I care? You should care because that RU that sits next to them, that scholarship officer, they're going to be there for a while, right? So it's not, you don't want to go in and just say, hey, where's my SMP? Because you might get a couple and you might be the hero for the month or the quarter, but it's not a long-term shaping operation. Instead, like number 2, recruit for the ROTC within your college population. Become an ROTC recruiter. And some of you are probably like, man, I don't know if I want to do that. National Guard's all around there. The RU is a National Guardsman. The PMS is a National Guardsman. The NCYC is a National Guardsman. Put that away. It doesn't matter. Put it in your pocket. You don't need it. Okay? Think about it this way. If you have that whole college population, if you are helping build that ROTC population by enlisting people as SMPs throughout that college year, now you're building that relationship and it becomes a little bit better. So now maybe you're getting invited to other things with ROTC, so that when those guaranteed reserve forces duty scholarships come out for the MS3s and MS4s that have to join the reserve, maybe you get your back scratched a little bit and get that freebie, because you actually helped build the ROTC. The thing with ROTC, this doesn't have to be like an us versus them type thing. We can help them by helping us. So if you're out there recruiting for an 09 Romeo, it builds their population. And the PMSs that I've had the privilege of talking to here recently, within like the last 6 months, so that's Oklahoma University, Oklahoma State University, University of Arkansas, Wichita State University, they're just wanting to get their pool bigger so that they can put their best people, when they get their areas of concentration sent down to them for active duty. If they have a bigger pool to pick a better person, that's what they're looking for. So they will help you. It's all about building that relationship, but it starts with not attacking the ROTC and helping them. Okay, that's a big piece there. Right, your SASVAB leads to select four-year college. Obviously, that's a big one. They want to go to school. So if you, instead of leading off with, hey, why don't you join the Army Reserve so you miss your fall semester, you could say, hey, have you ever thought about joining ROTC? Here's a pathway to do it. You'll go to basic training this summer and then come back and start your college career. It's a great way to go through it. Go through the APL too. See all those people, or just your regular high school list, all those people that selected for your college. Call them and say you're a representative from ROTC. Why not? Because you kind of are. You're going to try to put them in the ROTC program. It's just another way to attack it. High school senior presentations focusing on leadership internships, because that's essentially all we're talking about with SMP. Somebody who is an 09 Romeo cadet within the TPU, they are following around that officer, learning the ways of officers, learning how the military decision-making process goes into writing an op order, but for real, not just in the classroom, not just in the lab. Looking at it as how this affects real life, putting them in front of the formation and saying, hey, for this next 10-minute task there, cadet, You're going to lead this platoon in executing this task. So, let's go through the steps, go through troop leading procedures. That's what they're doing. So it's an internship with one of the greatest leadership organizations in the world, Premier. So that's how you want to sell it to a high school senior. That's where you're going to catch their attention. You want to move right up into middle management, not start at the bottom? How about I make you an 09 Romeo simultaneous membership program member, giving you the opportunity to become that middle manager upon graduation. Work on the spiel, but if you put the right pieces on there, depending on your location, works out great. Here's one that really makes a difference. Put some onus back in your reserve unit, right? They're the ones that are always telling you when you show up to battle assembly, hey, I could use some officers. Well, sir, ma'am, what have you done to try to find some? I'm just an enlisted guy. I don't know what it's like being an officer. I mean, I've seen some, but I don't know personally. Okay, so talk to your local reserve commander. If they're alumni, even better. But have it worked out with the instructors there, to where the reserve commander can come in and give a brief to the MS1s or 2s or 3s, 4s. It doesn't matter which one. MS1's an example, but have them stand up and give the brief on what their unit's mission is, what their capability is, and why they should come work for him. What he or she can do for them to make them better leaders for the Army tomorrow. Just lets you sit in the back, collect the lead cards, and work from there. It doesn't have to necessarily be you. Put some onus back on that commander. And I recommend bringing this up at an R2PC so that it gets fed from the top down. All right, hey, the bottom one. I ain't saying rob your future soldier pool, but we all know that this time of year, right now, this is when your active duty seniors that have been hanging out for 9 months in the pool, you start dropping out because they all of a sudden their new girlfriend says that they should just continue going to college or whatever the case may be. This is that time of year. It just happens. So be there ready to snatch them up. With, hey, how about you just go to basic training? You made that commitment to me, and then if this is the college you want to go to, let's get you accepted and let's go this route. Let's get you set up for 09 Romeo. It's a way that you're going to take the lost active duty because there is no reno from component. But if you can, turn around and write them, right away, that's a good thing. So, just those are just examples. I mean, a lot of you guys are real smart. You probably think of other ways to utilize this, but just kind of keep that in mind. Get the brain turning on what the possibilities are. All right, so I stole this slide from my presentation that I actually do. I've done it for a couple of my new recruiters that are in big college markets. I'll actually go out and do the MS1 and MS2 brief. Matt Sarnbeck on the line here, he's done it too. Where we go out and we'll give the class. And so this is a slide from there, just talking about, because that's the first thing they're going to ask. Well, what can I do? What are my options? So knowing what's in your area is big. A key one is we can SMP somebody into medical units. If somebody has that aspiration to become some sort of medical doctor thing, whatever, nurse, whatever, we can SMP them into a medical unit. So now they're following around, some Army doctor, some Army surgeon, some Army nurse, whatever the case may be, learning the real-time medical practice stuff, that may be required later for them to graduate some sort of course, whatever, use that to your advantage right there. For those that do the medical and want to get into the medical field, AMED snags them up when they're getting ready to graduate and sends them to a completely different program, follow-on schools and all that stuff. So that's kind of how that works. It's their not AMED recruiters, but AMED as a command snags those guys up. So that's kind of how that works. This is the easy way into military intelligence because you're not going to do it OCS wise, but you can slide in SMP into those military intelligence, PSYOPs, civil affairs units, all that stuff. So works out that way as well. Just kind of think about what you got in your area, how you can work it, how you can spin it. And if all you have is a 92 Fox unit in your area, then I probably wouldn't talk about how great Quartermaster is. I mean, to some of you guys, Quartermaster is all that, and that's cool. But to an 18-year-old kid, it might not sound as great. So they're just talking about the leadership opportunities. That's that's where I would focus on that. Troop leading procedures, leadership opportunities. Here's what you get to do. So that's kind of where I would stick with that. All right, so the scholarship possibilities. Okay, one thing I want to clear the air, because some of you are probably thinking like, well, where's Minuteman Scholarship coming in to all this? Okay, in order to take a Minuteman Scholarship, you have to be SMP. You don't have to take the Minuteman Scholarship in order to be SMP. Hopefully I explained that right. They are two separate entities. One you have to be one with the other one you don't. Okay, you can be SMP, never take a scholarship the whole time you're in college. That has to do with the Army. You could be there on a full ride scholarship for football, for soccer, for trap shooting, whatever the case may be. As long as you're not taking $1 from Cadet Command, then you're non-scholarship. Okay. All right, but so here are some of those options that might be out there if the kid's like, well, I'd like to do this. It seems like it's going to be less invasive, but how am I going to pay for school? So right up top, the Guaranteed Reserve Forces Duty Scholarship, 2-year scholarship. You can either take full tuition or $10,000 room and board. Yes, you can combine it with the Select Reserve GI Bill, but if they enlist as an 09 Romeo, they do not get GI Bill. Okay? Then you have the dedicated GRFD, dedicated scholarship. That's a 3-year deal, full tuition or $10,000 room and board, depending on what they need. So keep that in mind. Then there's the actual Minuteman Scholarship. That's the one that gets blasted down. The big 4-year scholarships. Some of you guys are probably real proficient in that. I know some of you guys just kill the Minuteman Scholarships out there, and good on you. That's the one where you're getting the either the CASA, the Army Reserve Ambassador, or the MSC Commander to sign off and applying that scholarship. Kind of big right now. I know our battalion's getting some packets ready to try to snag up those scholarships for that. But it's a separate process. Somebody can enlist as an 09 Romeo and then apply for this scholarship. They don't have to have the scholarship first. But if you have somebody who comes to you and says, hey, I was awarded the Minuteman Scholarship, that's what you're putting them in as, 09 Romeo. Okay, same process. That's what you're doing. Early commissioning program, there's 4 military junior colleges out there that you get your you commission like after 2 years. I think one's in Kansas. I think there's one in like Alabama. If there's one in your area. So make sure you pay attention to how SMP works with those ECPs if you have one in your AO. All right, some of the common questions. Do I deploy? Nope. Showed you that. AR 601-210 9-14. Do not deploy. Once you're enrolled, you're locked in. All right. So when do I get paid as an E5? As soon as you enroll. It says execute the contract. No, you are eligible for E5. Sorry, I didn't catch that on my slide. As soon as you enroll in ROTC, you're paid as an E5. So you're not going to enlist as an E5 unless you're already enrolled in ROTC, like if you're talking to an MS1. But high school senior, not going to enlist in that pay grade. But as soon as they start, as soon as they're enrolled in ROTC, then they'll get paid as an E5. Can I do this as a high school senior? Yes. After you've been accepted to a university associated with ROTC, high school seniors can do this. It's a great opportunity. How many SMP slots are there per reserve unit? AR 601-210, 9-14, Delta 3. No more than 3 per commission officer. It also says like 4%, no more than 4%, I think, of like the brigade element can be cadets. We're nowhere near that. So, I mean, hopefully after you guys get this, we can get there. That'd be kind of cool. We can kind of kill it. What will a cadet do during battle assembly? They intern as an Army officer. And I recommend using that language because that's going to resonate with the parents, going to resonate with the kid. You're going to intern. You're going to learn. I mean, it's job shadowing. Yeah, it doesn't sound as cool as intern because that's essentially what they are. And in some cases, they're actually put in charge, put in command. We had one in my battalion that joined last fall that they didn't have a commander, so they threw him right in there. That cadet's the commander of the unit. It's kind of weird, but I mean, it can happen that way. So they have the opportunity. I mean, that's pretty much the last slide. The one thing I want to lead you with right now is across all of USAREC, we have wrote this fiscal year, we have written 83 SMP contracts. That's a little less than 2 per battalion across the board. Okay, we can do better, and hopefully this this slide deck, this class, I'm hoping it helped with a lot of the understanding. But hey, this is a great program. Again, anybody can write an SMP. You don't have to have the college. Just do the little bit of research. If you have questions when you're reading 9-14 or when you're reading 145-1, feel free to reach out to myself or Matt Sergeant Beck. We're on the global. Hopefully, we'll be able to steer you in the right direction and be able to answer this for you. Looking at the right side, yes, I will load the slides onto the AGR forum after my next class because I want people to be able to. I still want people to come to the next class, and I'm also recording this class, and I will later upload that to YouTube. So if some of your compadres didn't get to view it, or you just want to go back to the actual class, you'll be able to go through it. Let's see here. See, somebody wrote a lot. Sergeant Haddock wrote a lot. Or first Sergeant Haddock, sorry. Apologize. Those viewing from Great Lakes Battalion have a contract in camp. Heck yeah, let's put unlimited people in Western Michigan University. I like it. Yeah, first one. I'll just send him right to Sergeant Major Holland. I don't know if you knew, Sergeant Major Holland used to be my station commander way back in the day. Sergeant Hutchins, I don't know right off the top of my hand what my YouTube channel is, but I will post the link once it's done, probably to both forums. That way anybody can pull it down. It's been a long time since I posted a video on YouTube, but so I owe you that one. So, all right, 9:58. So it looks like we stuck within that hour. Yes, continue to vote for my picture. Yes, thank you, Sergeant Anthony, or Sergeant Ellis. Yes, continue to vote for my picture. If you haven't voted for it, let's get that thing on the cover. Track Shooting USA. Sergeant Bonus, yeah, I mean, I just spent an hour talking about SMP. I think I earned the right to say vote for my picture. Again, if you guys want to, there's another class. Coming this afternoon. So if some of your buddies want to get on it, or if you want to come again, for more clarification, feel free to do so. Other than that, we're at that hour mark, so we can get back to doing whatever it is we're doing, streaming Tiger King, digital prospecting, or going fishing. Thanks for everyone showing up.